Yesterday at the symposium, I had it rang again, so I finally got it. But anyway, geez, this is great to see everyone, and I had a few things to say. I'm short on time, so I want to say a couple things that I really wanted to impress, but I wanted to give you more background on Tom's early life. Listening to Paul Zolo, it was like he was telling the story of my life. Because the early part of that, so many of the things he talked about, I was a part of and was there. So it's exciting to hear his take on it and the way he can put it into words. He's a true artist. And I'm not a professional, but it meant so much to hear his expression of how Tom was. He was so accurate on what he said, and his description of Dana, what a wonderful person she is. He's got a total grasp on that, and I can fully understand why Tom would ask him to write a book. One thing I wanted to say, one thing that is fairly well known, Tom talked about his dad, Earl. And I was around so much, I felt like we just had such a wonderful life. I want you to know that Tom Petty did not have a pitiful life, in no way. Like Paul said, his dad was tough, and my father was tough. And one thing that Paul just said is, Tom said he was soft, and I think I was soft too. And I was my mother's favorite child. Tom was the same. Tom's mother adored him and protected him from a fairly tough dad. But I didn't see all the things. I was at Tom's all the time, and my memory of Earl is not too bad. He wasn't like some dads are involved in every aspect of their child's life. I wouldn't say he was that way with Tom, but he tried. And I have to give him some respect for that. And then after Tom went out west, I used to go visit Mr. Petty quite often. And I enjoyed him. He was a character. Tom used to, one thing that I was waiting for Paul to mention was, his dad wasn't, he was a character, but he used to tell Tom that he had a sharp skin suit. That was something Tom would often talk about, and I wonder if Paul ever heard that from Tom. But he wasn't such a bad guy, and don't feel sorry for Tom. He had a wonderful childhood. Growing up in Gainesville was just a fantastic place. We had all the freedom to do whatever we want. And so then the other thing I guess I wanted to say, that what we went through and what made changes in our life as growing up here, and things that influenced Tom, of course, seeing Elvis, getting those little records, having his little record player at first, taking those 45s and putting them on one at a time, listening to them day in and day out. He just kept listening. The next step, he was able to get a little stereo, take the speaker off, and you stack the album. By that time, we had been going down to the Gainesville Shopping Center and buying albums. And so he would stack those 4, 5, 6, 7 at a time and sit there and listen through, flip them over and listen to the other side. So Tom spent a lot of time doing that. And of course, Paul mentioned his little acoustical guitar that he got. But one other major thing that happened to us, right about the time that Tom started being interested in music, and this is going to seem so weird, but it was a big deal, a transistor radio. So when we were in the 6th grade, I believe it would have been 1960, all of us 6th graders and our friends, Tom Petty, myself, my other friends, we got a transistor radio. That was the key thing to get. And that opened a whole new world for Tom. And, he would listen to that radio at night played his records in the day. I guess he put that in his ear at night and listened to that transistor. It doesn't seem like much, but you can imagine technology for that time where it was. We had rotary dial telephones, no cell phone. So the other thing is black and white TVs. We had no 180 channels to look at. We had 2, 3, maybe 4, and they shut down, at 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night. The Ed Sullivan Show, that brought a lot of music. There were some little channels that played some other things, but Ed Sullivan, all about bananas. And so when Tom Petty, I mentioned to you that I happened to be at a very key moment with him when he heard Elvis and came home that day. I'm sure that y'all know this story, but I'll repeat it. And I was there and saw his excitement about Elvis. He came out of the car and came up to me and talked about Elvis, seeing Elvis. Elvis nodded at him, and it just blew him away. And I traded some records, little 45 RPMs to him, a little rack that my sister had left him. So that was one key moment. That was the bingo moment that day when he saw Elvis, that he got keyed in Elvis, and he just lived the thought of Elvis, 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 Elvis. I mean, for several years, it was all about Elvis. I don't remember specifically going to see Follow That Dream with him, but I'm sure I did because we often went to the Florida Theater. I mean, on Saturday, pretty much what we did on Saturday was go to the theater. We would ride our bicycles, no locks, just throw them down where we could, go in, paid our quarter, and went to the Florida Theater, a quarter. And if you had $1 that day, then you got popcorn and a drink for $1 and a show. So that was, that's the way it was during those days. And so we had we didn't sit around. We were never in the house. We were outside. We had the city park, which is now Tom Petty Park. Wow, that was our playground. We invented we were able to imagine and invent our own things. One thing that we did early on is, I was thinking about is, we all got Fanner 50 little, when we were in second, third grade, we got little Fanner 50s by Mattel. I don't know if y'all know who that was. And Tom was a slim guy, and he had a leather holster. We both did, but I wasn't a slim guy. He tied that little holster to his leg, and he would stand up and spin that gun and throw it back in his holster and practice drawing, and he did that so much. But later on, when I wrote that on Tom Petty Nation, the guy that produced You Got Lucky, the movie, he said, man, Tom, he was on that set and he had that gun and he did that all day long. So I could really relate to that. And then later, Dana wrote something on her page about Tom being in a hotel room with this gun and he was spinning it around. So I mean, it followed him his whole life. Something that simple, but he stuck with it. Another thing that I get a kick out is, we have our Gator football games, and it's become a regular game day event to play I Won't Back Down. And when that's played, it makes me laugh because when we were about 13, Tom and I, we would go to the Florida field and we would go there early and we would get in and we would sell Cokes. They would have little trays of Cokes, probably 20 Cokes, and we would walk up and down the aisles and go, Coca-Cola, and buy drinks. They were probably a quarter, 50 cents. And later on we got a little older and we got to sell hot dogs and it was more profitable. And on a good day, you could earn $15 very easily. So Tom was all over that stadium, and not that he was a big football fan, but Tom and I did play football together in the 9th grade at Howard Bishop. And I have pictures of those days and pictures of us in our little football uniforms. I have a lot of pictures of us together. I've shared a lot of them on Tom Petty Nation, but there are quite a few on display over at B-side. If you want to have a chance to go in and have a look, there's quite a few in there. Let me see what else I have here on my little list. But yeah, another big influence, which I can't understate, is the chance that we had to go to dances and hear musicians live. And those places were locally Teen Time, and we would hear Monty Quintet. The aha moment for Tom when he came down to my house one day and he said, because he heard it on the radio that they were going to be playing a new record, and we had to go to Teen Time that night to hear it. And so we did, and we stood together at Teen Time. Tom wasn't a dancer, and I wasn't a dancer, and they played I Want to Hold Your Hand. And that was the key moment in his life when it snapped again. I was there for the Elvis ordeal, and I was there for the Beatle ordeal. So, I mean, those two changes in life had a huge effect. And hearing Paul Zola describe some of those things was just wonderful for me to hear, and I'm sure you know, and he's a hard act to follow. But he's great, and it's so neat to hear him speak. Let's see if I can see something else here. But anyway, yeah, Tom was talking about how he was raised, and with his, he was primarily raised in the beginning. His mother worked, and he called her Kitty. From his dad. His dad called his mom Kitty, and he called his grandmother Mom, Miss Avery. And she was a big part of his life, and very much adored Tom, of course, just as did his mother. And so that was two females in his life that were, had a big impact on him. I'll tell you another little story about Tom. I don't mean to jump around. I just came into my mind, but Tom was we were all very good children. I mean, we weren't bad children or anything, but Tom had started collecting things off of automobiles. Back in the day, Mercedes and Lincoln Continentals had on the hood ornaments, they had a little plate. And so Tom and this other friend of mine that was a very good friend, Steve Hall, they started having a little competition and a little collection. They would go down to the Gainesville Shopping Center and, so one day the police showed up at Tom's house and Tom got caught. They didn't take him down and lock him up or handcuff him or read him his rights, but he was made to pay some restitution. But the funny thing is how surprised his mother was that I wasn't involved. She was disappointed, she was just damn certain I was in the middle of it. So it was a pretty funny little situation. And the other thing, he was in the Sundowners, and I was with him all the time there. I was kind of really in the band. I wasn't a musical person, as y'all know. I can't sing, and so I'll just tell you really quickly. I was there for the fight when the Sundowners in, and Tom told the story that the drummer was being obnoxious, but Tom was being obnoxious. One other real quick thing, and I gotta leave. They just did the thing. I'm short of time. They didn't let me speak very long today. But the thing about Melinda, and I just heard this song and realized, and he was talking about Clay County and going to see Melinda and sneaking through a window. Now, I never knew, I couldn't remember her name, but he did have, we played in Keystone Heights, it's Clay County, and he did meet this little girl, and he did go over there to see a girl, and I couldn't remember her name, and it could have been Melinda, I suppose it was, and there was some mischief going on. And he was asked by the Keystone Police not to come back. Sorry, I have to leave.